Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined alongside Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia for a mailbag episode. You know we love our mailbags here on the Paul Farrington Show. This one was kind of a quick one. We put it out and didn't really give much time before recording, so we apologize for that. If any questions came in, we'll try and answer them during the next mailbag. We're also probably going to start putting out mailbag questions or mailbag posts a little earlier as the season gets on, getting more of a rhythm. But
we'll have a regular mailbag schedule at that point.
Yeah, for those who got their questions in, we look forward to answering them and answering and responding to some comments. There's always good comments in these mailbags. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. You can also become a member, and with the membership, when there are mailbags, and as long as we're able to get to the questions ahead of time, your question will be read as a member. You can also participate in contests. We're going to launch that soon. For the 2024 season, and we'll give merch giveaways and things like that. And speaking of merch, you should be able to see the merch below in the YouTube on the YouTube page right now, where we just finally moved our store from the website over to our YouTube channel, so you can actually see any merchandise. We have a pretty fun selection of merch out right now, and you can click there. Hopefully, all the prices, everyone likes them. We try and keep them cheap so that people will get shirts and just have fun. That's part of this community, is just having a good time. The website might not be around much longer. It really just served as a store. So we'll see what happens there. And then, of course, you can listen on audio if you can't catch us on YouTube. We appreciate everyone who listens on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. How was that intro, Ziggy? Pretty good?
I think it was solid. We'll work on tightening it up for the regular season.
Tighten it up a bit, yeah.
Like we've seen in preseason, right? There were some ups, there were some downs, but you got the job done.
So let's dive into this mailbag here from Sammy. And thank you, Sammy. You always leave questions. He says, "Hope you gentlemen are doing well. Now that we've seen the new rookie quarterbacks play, I hate to admit it, but JJ McCarthy surprised me." All right. "Say what you will about his competition, but to be able to bounce back after a rough start and win the game is impressive for a first-time starter. Can't agree more. With that in mind, would you guys be shocked if McCarthy starts earlier than originally expected? If he's ahead of schedule, why not give him a shot? Keep up the good work and go Pack go." And let me just, before we get to the answer here, Ched Beckford, he says, "Packers fan here, love the show. At what point in the season does JJ McCarthy take the starting job? Or is it even possible that he doesn't play at all?" So kind of similar questions here that we can tackle at the same time. Do you want to take the first stab at this?
Yeah. So actually, I think no matter how good JJ McCarthy looks or doesn't look, they're going to put him in at about the same time. What we've seen this offseason is when he's done well in practice, they've kept the plan. When he's done poorly in practice, they've kept the plan. It seems like they have, not necessarily a complete script, but a pretty good idea of how they want this process to go. When does he start taking more first team reps? When do we start putting him in more situations, more responsibilities?
For sure.
And I think when they start him will just be a matter of that. So I think even if he continues to look good, they gave Darnold a very generous contract. They brought him in with the expectation they would be playing him for a substantial part of the season. And part of the sales pitch they made to get him to come there was that they were going to play him for a substantial part of the season. And you don't want the reputation of breaking promises like that with players if you can avoid it. So I still think JJ McCarthy starts about mid-season. I don't think that much he does in the preseason or in practice will change that. And I think that's good. It's one thing when a player looks good, or looks ready in practice, looks ready in preseason, but throwing them into game action can be different. I like that we've got a plan and we're sticking with it.
Since we have some fun on this podcast, and we're one to throw each other into the fire. If you pull up the Vikings schedule here, Ziggy, is there a game that you'd be willing to predict that JJ makes his first start? Not appearance, his first start with the Vikings, somewhere along this 2024 schedule here?
That's a good question. I think you can't start him in the first 4 weeks. Really the first 6 weeks, because you've got some tough teams there. You don't want to throw him out against the 49ers D-line, the Texans D-line, the Jets defense, the apparently new and improved Packers defense.
And the bye week looks like week 6 for us this year, by the way.
Yeah, so I think coming out of that bye week, what are they playing? The Lions that week? They're hosting the Lions?
Hosting Detroit October 20th, yeah.
I think that is the time they're targeting for him to start. Let Darnold play for those first 5 games, face those tough defenses, get some good tape out there for him. Then you transition with the Lions, and then you've got some easier games, right? Lions, that they're a tough team, don't get me wrong. But after that, Rams, Colts, Jaguars, Titans, Bears, Cardinals, Falcons. Those are much more winnable than having to face San Francisco or the Texans or maybe even the Packers.
So let's say they come out like 3-2. If they're 3-2 at that point, which I mean, again, Giants, 49ers, Texans, Packers, Jets. That's a pretty tough opening to the season. If you're 3-2, you're going to keep going with Sam Darnold there. Is there a certain record? Like let's say they're 2-3 or 1-4. Darnold doesn't look that bad, but they're losing close games. Do you think they would then go to JJ or keep rolling? I'm just kind of having fun with this question here. Or would you
fair enough, but
I think let him, yeah.
I think the only goal this season is to develop JJ McCarthy. I think every decision they make, while they'd like to win games and they'd like to be competitive, I know the Ziggy Wilf always wants that for the team. Fellow Ziggy, I respect that. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, this season, everything you do once you make an early first-round pick on a rookie quarterback, everything you do for the next couple of years has to be about helping that player succeed. And I think that's the attitude in the building. It's clear they believe in JJ McCarthy. So no, I don't think they'd be willing. I mean, imagine this from a fan's perspective too. Imagine you sabotage his development to squeeze a couple more wins out of this season. That would be terrible.
Well, I'm thinking more so along the lines of if Darnold's looking okay, like it's not his fault that they're losing games. It's just it's a tough schedule, and then you do have that easier portion of the Colts, the Jaguars, the Titans. Again, these are still pretty good teams here, but Chicago, Arizona, Atlanta, more pretty winnable games, and Darnold's playing well. Like there is a chance that Viking team is good enough to rattle off some wins and put themselves in playoff position. I mean, that's just going to come down to what Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell want to do. If they feel they have a shot to go to the playoffs with Sam Darnold, I don't think that they would jeopardize that just to give JJ some development.
I disagree, and if they feel that way, if they think we'd rather go on a ill-fated playoff run, the Vikings are not winning the Super Bowl. They're not going to the NFC Championship game. If they make the wild card round, it's probably going to be a repeat of what we faced of New York a couple of years ago. Let's be realistic here. This team is not that good.
Oh, well, we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to see.
No, but I just mean the goal in this season is to make your rookie quarterback better, and they should do whatever it takes to accomplish that goal.
I'm looking at that Colts game, November 3rd. That's the one that I have a feeling could be the spot where JJ starts. They're 2-3 at the bye, come out, probably lose to Detroit, probably lose on the road to the Rams in a night game. You're 2-5. I think that's when at home. That's my guess for the McCarthy start. If I had to pick, because this is going to sound kind of crazy, but part of me wouldn't be surprised if it's just Darnold all year.
It's not impossible.
Like that, I think I might even be leaning that, which feels wrong and probably is wrong. But I think it'll be later than people, unless Darnold just sucks. Which is a possibility for Sam the man. Okay, next question here. And producer Zach has joined us on the show. Ziggy, can you can't see him. I haven't set up his camera yet, but producer Zach.
They wanted to start without me. They told me 7:45. You know what time it is?
It's not producer Zach's fault. We'll just put that out there. Producer Zach is not the problem here.
James Library says, hey guys, what's your biggest football pet peeve? For example, mine is whenever a defensive player jumps to try to stop a quarterback from throwing or blocking the throw. More often than not, it turns out into a huge play for the offense. Keep up the amazing work, and I hope JJ McCarthy works out for you guys. Not being sarcastic. All right. I love all the JJ McCarthy love from people right now. It's pretty nice to see. I mean, I feel like this is someone said you guys are single-handedly mending the damaged relationship or the what was it called? The horrible relationship between the Vikings and Packers and Bears right now. I'm fine with that if we're mending some fences here. I don't mind making it a little bit unhealthy. That was the word, the unhealthy relationship. So any football pet peeves, Ziggy, or Zach for that matter?
I mean, I my number one pet peeve is the Green Bay Packers quarterback situation. Just the fact that they always seem to stumble into somebody who's pretty good. More seriously, the thing that always gets me is when it's like 4th and 1, and it's the entire world knows that the offense isn't calling a play. They're just trying to draw the defense offside to use the timeout, and it works. It's like some rookie or second-year player that wants to make the big play, not really aware of what's going on, and they just jump for no reason. Give the team a first down, let them keep going, completing their drive, and then they score a touchdown or whatever. Exasperating.
Yeah, football pet peeves. One of the lesser ones for me, but that has happened once in a while, is on field goals when it's was it leverage? What's the penalty called? Leverage or what is it? Leaping. Yeah, when you're on the D line, you're jumping over and you're touching players trying to block the field goal.
You can't touch
leaping.
The center.
I can't remember what. Can't remember what they're calling it. But I remember the Vikings had a call against someone last year, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like that's the penalty we get?" Of course,
I can give a non-penalty one.
What?
When the quarterback throws the ball horribly, it lands like 10 feet away from the receiver, and the defensive back just starts hooting and hollering and celebrating, jumping up and down, doing the will. Like when the defensive back, and everybody in the NFL does this. It's just part of the mental game. But when you don't do anything to make a play go successfully, and you just start celebrating like you were the reason, come on, man. It was just a bad throw.
I think my penalty pet peeve is when the it's usually the defensive end is running and then like jumps. It's kind of like what this guy was saying, but runs to jump to block the ball. And like as he's swiping, he hits the quarterback in the helmet.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a light,
like a roughing or something like that.
And you get that like stupid little whatever they usually give you, if it's roughing or like touching the quarterback,
whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I mean, anytime you have a penalty on like third down, that just drives me up a wall. Whatever it is, it's just annoying. All right, let's move on here to Jack Roush. Jack says, "Hey guys, out of all the NFC North teams' first preseason game, despite the fact it's preseason, what team and what player have you been impressed with so far? Thanks, guys. Love the show." Well, thank you, Jack. We appreciate that. I'm just gonna I know we haven't done a lot of Lions lately, but they lost 14-3 to the Giants, and the starters didn't play. So I'm just going to skip over that. There's nothing really to be impressed or I mean, they didn't look great. It was 14-3 loss to the Giants, but I'm not putting too much weight into that. In terms of which team was most, honestly, probably the Bears have been really impressive so far. One in that Caleb looked awesome, looked like a natural. But the defense, someone left a comment about that. He said, "Hey, we're not talking enough about the Bears defense. That unit has a chance to be really good. It's even a top 10 unit in the NFL next season." And that's,
weren't they a top 10 unit for the second half of last season?
Oh yeah. Once they got sweat over, like things started to change in Chicago. And if that unit is as good and the offense takes the steps that people are hoping, that's when this Chicago Bears like playoff run will start to build up. Just a shout out for one guy, Austin Booker, their 5th round rookie out of Kansas. I don't know if you saw his numbers, guys, but 5 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 3 quarterback hits in the game. Like it's a big performance from a defensive end there. Just adding, they need pass rushers in Chicago. That's the one spot that they need some help on that defense. I've been really impressed with the Bears so far. I think they're having a great offseason.
Yeah, this is not being impressed with the entire team's performance, but one player who really stood out to me was Liatu Latu on the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
You won't see in the stat sheet, right? He had like 1 tackle and nothing else for the rest of the game. But he was in the backfield basically every play, pressuring whether it was Bo Nix or Stidham, who was in. He was a major contributor. And you see the news always coming out of training camp like, this defensive end is doing great. This player is in the best shape of their life, whatever. You never know how it's going to translate. He actually is living up to the hype and has real potential, I think, to be a star.
I really liked him coming out, and he fell in the draft a little bit because of his injury history. That guy does have a chance to be really, really good in Indianapolis. I was kind of bummed out with Anthony Richardson. I'm still a little bummed out with his performance, even though 2 drives, nothing. It's just first preseason game, but I was really kind of hoping for a Colts statement in the first preseason game, but we'll have to wait and see from there. As far as
Tennessee looked a little better than I thought they would.
Tennessee?
Yeah. I feel like they had a lot of, like, this offseason, they got a lot of good players, but, like, I didn't think they would mesh very well with Pollard.
Oh, I really like Ziggy is the man with Tennessee.
Yeah. They looked better than I thought.
Division winners?
Yeah. When they came out, their first draw, Pollard, and everybody looked just look better than I thought they would. Like they mesh better than
People
I thought.
aren't talking. I mean, other than Ziggy, no one's talking about Tennessee when
they're not a bad team.
Oh, you added. Well, they were one that they weren't as bad as people thought, but then two, they added a lot of really talented guys who just kind of had down. Like Tony Pollard, a year ago, we were talking about him possibly being in contention for the rushing title. Like, I don't think that it's out of question that he comes in and has an awesome season with them. He had a bad year, yeah, but still a super talented guy. Ridley, I mean, Hopkins still has some in the tank. I believe. I like the Titans, not as much as to say they're going to win the division like Ziggy is, but I think that's a good shout, Zach. That we have to monitor them again. They were the first team to ever interact with us, and the TikTok we made about them last year. So we are a Titans pod to some degree.
About their no-name wide receivers, and now they got named wide receivers.
Yeah, now they got big name wide receivers. Now I will say just to wrap up that question. With the Vikings, in terms of like guys who were impressive, Tristan Jackson, Jalen Naylor, the two receivers were really, really good yesterday. Ziggy, I want to take your thunder on Bo, but I guess I will. Bo Richter, the Vikings linebacker, the out of the Air Force, was great.
Great preseason for guys named Bo.
Yeah. Oh, great preseason. 6 tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for loss. Just a really impressive game. You said, Ziggy, we keep finding ways to get these linebackers, these smaller named linebackers come in and be impactful, like Ivan Pace last year. And for Green Bay, real quick, just to really complete it here, we mentioned this in the reaction show that we had, but Evan Williams is great. Their rookie safety. Lucas Van Ness is the one. He's the one I'm unhappy about because, Evan Williams will come in, and I still think that Bullard and McKinney, they'll probably be the main guys there. They'll work in Evan Williams, but Lucas Van Ness is someone who I think he's one of those dudes of all the first round talents that the Packers have. He's one of those guys that could really break out in year 2 here. And seeing him come in and what do you have? A sack, 3 tackles for loss. Like if he turns it on and just adds another element to that pass rush for Green Bay, no, not looking forward to that. Not happy about that.
And if you want any more on what we think of any of the NFC North preseason week ones, you can go back and check our full reactions. We made 15-minute videos for each team.
Yeah.
Except the Lions, because the Lions hadn't played yet, and also we all know the Lions. We know what they are.
From General Barnaky, he just says a comment. All hail the mailbag. It's great, fun episodes. We love mailbag episodes. From Statslie 14. What is your ranking of most important quarterback skills and abilities? For example, arm strength, pocket presence, mobility, vision, accuracy, anticipation, off-platform throwing, pre-snap, post-snap reading, and why can Jordan Love do all of them at a high level? Go ahead.
I have an answer that is going to leave you unsatisfied, but that I think is true. One of the things that we've seen in the NFL over the past 10 years is there used to be a very clear archetype for what a quarterback was supposed to be. They were tall, they had a big arm, they weren't super mobile, but they sort of commanded an offense. There was a particular vision for what a quarterback was supposed to look like. Maybe you're a little mobile, but you're not too crazy. But what we've seen, starting with Russell Wilson, and RG3 and those guys, and really growing out of it, there are so many different kinds of successful quarterbacks in the NFL, right? Lamar Jackson is a completely different player than Josh Allen, completely different than Patrick Mahomes, completely different than Jordan Love. And even at that second or third tier of guys, right? I mean, you can succeed if you're Joe Burrow, you can succeed if you're Kyler Murray. I'm not saying those are the same level of player, but I just mean there's so many different ways to be a good quarterback in the NFL today that I no longer feel like there's a list of traits I can give you and say, here's the most important, and then descending down. Because we've just seen so many different ways to be a good quarterback. And every year, some guy surprises me and tries a new way to be a quarterback, and it works.
All right. What are you running for president or something here? What is this sidestepping the questions? And
well, I don't know what you want from me. What am I supposed
to?
Any single trait I give you, you can give me a top 5 quarterback in the NFL that doesn't have that trait. That means there's not a list you can give of what it takes to be a great quarterback in the NFL.
Bullshit answer. I'll give it. I'll give a ranking. So now you get Ziggy's answer, and then you get the ranking here as well. I think no doubt about it, the number one trait any quarterback must have is accuracy. It's not even up for debate. If you can't throw the football, if you can't throw it accurately, you can't be a quarterback. That's straight up. there's one thing that drives me up a wall, and it's when we're in the pre-draft process, and they're like, "Yeah, he struggles with accuracy, and not sure that that's going to be fixable. It's just part of his game." I'm like, what? How could you possibly? Anthony Richardson. They were saying accuracy was a concern. That's a legitimate concern. If you can't throw the football to a guy to a target, you have to improve it. If you don't improve your accuracy, you're literally never going to make it.
I mean, yeah, guys of like 62 to 64% accuracy, they can't succeed in the NFL. I'm just saying Matthew Stafford, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love. Those guys aren't no good.
You got to be accurate. Well, there's a difference between those guys and then other guys who are lower on depth charts and never play because they can't throw the ball. Like, that's accuracy number one. Two,
it's got to be vision. It's got to be vision.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of looping that into like decision making, football IQ. Is that like does vision kind of go into that decision making?
I see. So your two traits are arms and making good decisions. All right, man. You've been
3
really
arm strength, 4. Do I want this at 4 or 5? 4. No, 4. I'm gonna say toughness. 5 leadership. 6 mobility. There. That's it.
You can't put mobility at 6. That's
mobility might have to go up.
If you wanted to pick a trait that every top quarterback in the NFL has, it is in fact
mobility. Might have to go to 4.
That's the only one that every top quarterback has.
I'll put toughness at 5 and leadership. They're all important. That's the thing. But I would say accuracy easily number 1.
Remember, Ziggy, Paul had Kirk Cousins, the most immobile quarterback all his life.
Did you think Tom Brady was Tom Brady, Peyton Manning that mobile?
Mm-hmm.
The times have changed in the NFL. They didn't have to deal with these freak defensive ends.
Do I want to? Leadership is big. I'll move mobility.
I don't know what leadership means. Leadership seems to be winning games.
Being a winner. So JJ McCarthy, being a winner. Leadership. Okay, couple more questions here. The Code Craft Gaming 1555. Obviously, the unfortunate accident with Kyrie Jackson leaves the room a little bare, but do you believe the Vikings can improve the secondary this upcoming season? If so, I really think the Vikings can be a contender this year because of all the great players at skill positions. For fun, if you have time, out of any current player, what cornerback would you want the most on your team? What corner would I want the most? We'll do that first, and then, I mean, it's got to be Sauce or Surtain. You take your pick.
No Ramsey? That's crazy.
Ramsey's he's gotten old.
He's still really good. Jalen Ramsey's still awesome. But I'm probably going Pat Surtain.
Yeah. I like the thing about Surtain and Gardner are the two you can pick, but we're gonna have to settle for what's his name, Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah. So actually, Stephon Gilmore, by the time this comes out, honestly, he might be a Viking. By the time because we're recording this a little bit early. So I'm hoping that we signed Stephon Gilmore. Ziggy's really down on it because
Xavier.
I mean, you're disappointed when Stephon Gilmore is your guy.
I'd take him because we could use some help. Well, here's what we have right now. We have Byron Murphy Jr. We have Shaq Griffin, Josh Metellus. I like Metellus, but I have my doubts still. Harrison and Cam Bynum. It's an okay group. I mean, I do fear they'll get absolutely massacred. So I don't mind bringing Stephon Gilmore. Like, that unit has to step up, or else it's going to be a lot of issues this year. We've had
Brian Flores has his hands full. That's for sure.
Hey, but I mean, if the secondary is good, I do think that I think there's some pieces to work with along the defensive line, and honestly, even now at linebacker, where like those units, I do believe Brian Flores can get the best out of them. So if the secondary is good, I actually agree with this comment here. There's enough, especially, I'm not worried about the offense. I think Darnold will be good. If the defense steps up, I think the Vikings could borderline compete for the division. Dare I say. If the defense is good, they could compete.
I'm not going to give a comment about what I think of that would fuel the comments that I'm a closet Packers fan.
From Rick's2303, he just says Ziggy's favorite cheerleaders. There you go. You got some fans, Ziggy.
I could not answer that question.
It's not a question. It's just a comment.
Okay.
It's just support. It's just to enjoy the compliment. Let it roll.
I have an idea about why that's being commented, but we can move on.
No.
There's another important Ziggy question in that mailbag.
The from Doe Soldier here.
Yeah, we've been skipping over it.
So I saw it in the last one. I was like, all right, I was like, I'm skipping that. Apparently, it's the third time. He says, this is a ridiculous question. Dose Soldier 374 says, please, this is my third time asking, is Ziggy a lizard person? I need to know for scientific purposes.
They say I'm cold-blooded. I got ice in my veins.
What did he say in the second one? That you're like, you remind him of Zuckerberg? I mean, yeah, maybe ice in his veins.
I'm wired to succeed.
Two more. Eric Wallace 3175 is a member. Thank you, Eric. And Eric leaves a lot of comments, so we appreciate that. Are you guys going to do a weekly power rankings for the year or any positional rankings? Also, will Paul get a Green Bay tattoo? No, at 100,000 subscribers. And then taking advantage of our. This is the last time I'm ever doing this, by the way. The membership gets the whole thing read. I think now as we are progressing into the season, that will get changed to members' questions will be read, but not necessarily the entire comment, because people like Eric have done a great job of taking advantage. Yes, and so now I must say, yes, I will. I might get one at 12,000 because I'm secretly becoming a diehard Packers fan. I think we're going to have some sort of power rankings. And actually, this could be for anyone listening. We're trying to think of some sort of name for the segment where we do this is the outsourcing here, where we're trying to do power rankings or QB rankings, whatever it may be. Think along the lines of like, Nick Wright does Mahomes Mountain. There's like the belt on one of the channels. Colin Coward does the herd hierarchy. Like everyone has their own little thing. We want to make a graphic and a ranking around something. But we're trying to figure out a name. So drop any names below. I will not be doing a Green Bay. I don't think I would ever do a Green Bay tattoo.
How big a donation to our channel we get you to get a Green Bay tattoo?
All right, I guess there is a number where I might get a Green Bay tattoo.
What's the number?
A monetary donation here?
Yeah.
Gotta be 100K at least.
Yeah, it would have to be at least 100. I was thinking more than that.
No, pick a number.
Where would I actually do it? If someone came in and said, I'll give you $300,000 for a Packer tattoo. How big a tattoo are we talking?
Small tattoo, and it's somewhere where you can cover it up if you want. Though you have to show it to the fans to prove you got.
Well, what about like a little hip tattoo?
Sure, if you want. If that's what you want. If getting the Packers very close to your private parts is what you want, man.
I mean, where else am I supposed to put it?
Shoulder,
yeah.
ankle,
shoulder blade.
Yeah, hip is almost always covered. Like I don't want to be at a pool and people are talking to me about, God, am I doing like an upper thigh Packers tattoo?
Yeah, put the Packers in your upper thigh right there.
All right, so an upper thigh Packers tattoo would probably be I think 300,000 would probably be a number.
All right, folks, start crowdfunding.
300.
I was on the record, $300,000. He will do it.
I think that's the number where I actually would do it. Maybe.
No,
5.
You've committed 300,000.
Okay,
you're on the record.
Last question from Logan V2002. He says, Paul, can you and Ziggy do a cheese hat episode when Jordan Love wins MVP this year?
If he wins MVP, I'd be willing to. And like most valuable player.
Jack just walked in for our other recording. Jack, could you grab something for me real quick for at the end of this episode here? See in this box right over there by the 2 guitars? In that box, so we have family friends who are really big Packers fans. I mean, do you see is there a cheesehead in there? There are a lot of big Packers fans that we're friends with. And unfortunately, they're all just great people. I've said this before. But, Mrs. Frankowski, the Frankowskis live out in Wisconsin, and they got this for me and brought it over on our family vacation, and I was absolutely furious. So it is sitting rotting in the basement, but this is actually in my house right now, Ziggy. Can you see this?
Oh, I can see it.
I am not happy.
The fans are going ballistic in the comments.
I'm not happy about this at all. Someone's probably screenshotting this and putting it on Twitter or something, but if Jordan Love wins MVP, yeah, I'll wear this. He's not winning MVP. He'll have a good year, but he's not winning MVP. Me and Ziggy will do a cheese hat episode if Jordan Love's the MVP of the National Football League. God, that'd be horrible. All right, enough of the mailbag. we were taken advantage of at the end there. We'll see you next week with more from the Paul Farrington Show. Thanks for listening.